Okay. Yeah, sorry guys. I'm starting this 30 minutes late. I was supposed to start at 6:30, but as you guys know, TOS does updates on weekends. So for the last 20 to 30 minutes, I've just been sitting here waiting for this thing to let me log in. But I think I'm gonna start doing it this way, just on Zoom, right? And then that way you guys can ask questions as we're doing our weekly outlook, top-down analysis. I've already sent you guys the new key levels going into this following week. And then after this, I do have a PowerPoint or a PDF, I should say, a little education thing that I'll give you guys. And then also make it easier to like upload this on YouTube as well. So let's get into it. It is 7 a.m. for me. So grab your coffee. We're just gonna walk through pretty much each name, mainly that we trade, really the Mag Sevens, but we're gonna start with Qs and SPY. And then, what are we looking for this week, right? The weekly outlook is, really for, all right, what's the major play that we're looking for? Um, as always, our job is to react, not predict, but we always have to be prepared. So going into Monday, as always, start with our weekly levels. And Q's broke, right? We broke 587.85. This is what we want to see. We've been sitting, in between here for quite some time. Really for what, roughly 6 weeks, we've been sitting between 613 and 599. So we finally got this break, 587.85. Now, going into the following week or this upcoming week, in order for this move to be valid, we need to retest because either it was just a peak and fell. All we have to do is look left. Respect the key levels. All we have to do is look left. Last time, right, we pulled under 587.85. We got this push all the way back up to the range. Now, the big difference with this is we got a body of the candle closure on the weekly time frame. That's a big deal, right? The bears were in control this week. So that being said, we got to see, on Monday, our weekly candle form, or at least start under 587.85. I would love for that to start, right? If the weekly candle can form under 587.85, that's beautiful. That means the move was valid. It was real. So you can see we finally broke out here, which is solid. That's exactly what we want. Let's go here on the daily. Now, a couple of things here. A couple of things. Actually, let's go here on I'll go on the 30. We had a big bounce. Now, we had a big bounce down here. A very big bounce. We went from 578 on the intraday. We bounced. This is why I said we got to retest this because it could honestly just be a bull trap. The move is either going to be right a rip and we just continue to the downside, which that's not the case since you can see we've already pulled back up to our key level. It could just be a bull trap because if we reclaim that, can't really be surprised because it's the bottom of the range. So that's why the retest of this 587.85 is very important. It's very, very important because that's going to tell us, okay, this move was valid after we retested and rejected. That's our confirmation. Or it's going to say, no, we just want to squeeze so we can fuel this move higher. What do I always teach you guys? Whenever we fill a key level and we reclaim it, what does that do? Fuels that move higher. Why? Because these are bears getting trapped in their positions for a loss. So I hope that makes sense there. So going into really into the week, the key line in the sand here on Qs is going to be 587.85. That's going to be the key line in the sand here. Now, we had a very big week here, a very, very big week here on the Qs, which is wild. That's kind of been the story lately. A lot of the names have had big price range movements pre-market and after hours, but we went from 608 all the way down to 578. I mean, clearly in a downtrend, right? Now, as long as we're above 587.85, we are neutral. We're neutral. We're bearish bias once we break and hold under 587.85. And that's why that's the key line in the sand coming into the week. So big deal here. I'm very happy that, hey, we were finally able to see some downside. This past week, we took 0 trades. That's elite discipline, right? Our job as traders is to control our risk and our emotions. We have to take the highest probability setups. That's our job, right? It's not to be right or wrong. It's to take our high probability shots. So I say that to say, coming into this week was a low probability week anyway. Why? Every name is sitting in a channel, in a range. Those are the cons to our system. And then it's FOMC. So not only is every day is we're in a range, we're in a channel, it's an inside bar day, and we have the Fed speaking on Wednesday. None of those things scream high probability. And we did good to sit on our hands because it was just terrible price action throughout the week. So this is all Q's did. This is all Q's have been doing. So, to get this break is very, very solid. Very solid. So as I always say, the break and retest happens on every single time frame. So you can see here on the daily, we broke it on Friday. We had a flush. We still need that. So keep that in mind. So our key line in the sand that we're going to be watching here to really dictate what we do this week on Qs is 587.85. Do we stay under it or do we reclaim it? We won't know until we know. SPY. So SPY was always a little heavier than the Qs. SPY was always a little heavier than the Qs. If you look at the last 3 weeks here, you can tell. Now, really, well, yeah, I would say 3 weeks. Obviously, 4 weeks have been bearish, but the last, prior to this week, we were getting heavy. The body of the candle, 2 weeks ago closed outside of 675.80. We were stuck in this channel since November. And then last week we had a hammer stick candle to the downside. So we've broken the range here on SPY. You can see our key level 652.20. We broke that. All we got to do is look left, a very strong level here. We almost had the body of the candle close right above. Buyers tried to step up here, but stayed heavy. So this is good. We want to see this. We want to see, that. This is exactly what we're looking for. Just that continuation lower, but we got to get outside of this channel. As long as we're still in here, we're still neutral coming into the day. But as you can see here, last 4 weeks, last month, the bears have been in control. So the key line in the sand is going to be this 252.20 here on SPY. Now, let's go here on the daily. And just like I said on Qs, I mean, you can see our key level, 646.50. I think that's a strong support. But just like I said on the Qs, the break and retest happens on what? Every single time frame. So we still need that, right? If we come in on Monday and we get a nice little pop, it's not, necessarily a bad thing. We have to retest the key level that we broke. And this is a weekly level, right? The higher the time frame, the stronger the level. So this is very important. What do we do here? What do we do? Do we reclaim 652.20 or, right? Or do we stay heavy and get that continuation lower? Now, this is why, this is really why I said we can't wag our tails yet, right? If you go here on the 1 hour, I mean, clearly, it's clear as daylight. SPY, it's in a downtrend. There's no doubt. We've been sitting in the range, so the price action has been terrible on our way to the downside, but we are in a downtrend. But the reason we can't wag our tail just yet is because you see this big bounce off of 646. We're already back above, 652.20. That's why, because it could have been a bear trap, right? We won't know until we know. So we've learned our lesson. We've seen it, right? Coming into the market every day, it looks like, all right, we're going to get that continuation lower. Then we just get a mean reversion. We get some reversals. We do have a lot of gaps above us as well. So these are just all things to keep in mind. So, this is our key level. That's going to dictate our week. I would love for the weekly candle, like I said, to start under 252.20. If we can get a weekly candle to form under here, that is solid. If we can get a daily candle to form under here, that's solid. Because then we can look for a break. This is a range break. So we can look for a short under this if you want to trade this, targeting the previous day low here, 646.50, higher time frame key level. So that's just something to keep in mind. We did have a very nice trendy day on Friday, which is typically followed up by consolidation. So keep that in mind as well. We have an inside bar day on Monday. Really can't be surprised. But our key line in the sand is going to be 252.20. Okay, now for the fun stuff. Tesla. Tesla this week was very frustrating because all our analysis and thesis were spot on, but the moves just happened during the pre-market and after hours. I think 2 days in a row, Tesla moved over $10 pre-market. So, and then, it rejected our key levels as well, giving us that retest pre-market. So very interesting here. I mean, this is why I love key levels. And as I always say, history repeats itself. It's funny to see this because, our 383.20 is our key level. When we broke this, we just ripped right through it. And now to the downside, right through it. Never got a retest until later. And then on Friday, this thing just ripped to the downside. So this is a very big deal. Tesla's no longer in a range. Tesla broke, right? It made a new low on the year. That's something that's very important. 383.20 was a very, very strong level. Every time we pulled back here, this was the key level holding Tesla up. We pulled back here, we shot back up. 2 weeks in a row, we retested here, shot back up to 415. So we finally broke that. We finally broke it. I'm not surprised we got a flush. As I teach you guys, whenever we have a lot of built up liquidity, what does that do? That leads to a blow off top. And this is why, right? There's so much built up liquidity at the bottom of this range. We just ripped right through it. Unfortunately, we got that break and retest during the pre-market. I'll zoom in a sec here so you can see. So this is a big deal though. This is a very big deal. We're no longer in here on Tesla. We're no longer in here. So this is one of the very few tech names that broke outside of the range. I love to see key level here, 367, get respected. You see, we bounced off that. So going into the week, at least as long as we're under 383.20, I'm bearish bias on Tesla. Still got to be a little careful because SPY and Qs are still in a range. We're not out the clear just yet, but that's something to keep in mind. So what am I looking for? The retest, a pop and fade off of 383.20. Break and retest happens on every time frame. That's our A plus shot. Look at this. Support, support. We broke. Let's turn this into resistance and get that next leg lower. Very simple here. And I mean, you can clearly see Tesla's been in a downtrend on the weekly time frame. Not the cleanest price action, but it's been in a downtrend since it made all-time highs on the weekly time frame. That we know. So very big deal here on Tesla. Now, let's go here on the daily. Okay. So you can see the last 2 days have just been straight downside. These are bearish candles. And this is why it's been a little tough here on Tesla. Last week's weekly outlook, this was our pre-market plan. I'm sorry, the weekly outlook main game plan the last 2 weeks in a row. Looking for the break and retest under 383.20. And then, of course, it gives it to us on Friday during the pre-market. We were trying to look for a short under the previous day low. Didn't get that because it was just so strong to the downside, so did not take a trade. But you can see, we ended up gapping down, right? We gapped down Thursday. We opened up with a gap and go. And then Friday, just straight downside. So the bears were 100% in control. And we finally broke this 383.20. Now, let's go here on the 15-minute. I just have this marked out because that's a gap fill. You can see our key level down here, 367, getting respected, key level of support here. So very simple. And like I just told you on SPY, if we sit sideways on Monday, we can't be surprised. I mean, we had a very big movement here, very big movement. That's about what, 380, I'm going to say 384, 385, and we went all the way down to 364, and this was all within a day. So that would not surprise me one bit here on Tesla. Now, since it will be an inside bar day, obviously it doesn't make sense to go long over a previous day high into a weekly resistance level. So the main thing I'm looking for here on Tesla is really a short under 367.35, looking for that continuation lower. I just showed you we are in a downtrend under 383.20. We are a bearish bias on this name. Or, and this is really the A plus shot as well. It's this. We're waiting for that retest on this. This is what I mean when I said it was pretty unfortunate. You ended up getting this during the pre-market because Thursday we were holding this as resistance, as you can see. We ended up just getting that break and retest during the pre-market, and we already missed a move. That's the unfortunate part, but that's trading. That's part of it. So on the intraday, right, we still need this pop and fade off of 33.20. That's the main thing you're looking for. If we want to stay very strong, and let's say SPY and Qs bounce at the bottom of the range, these are things we have to think about. Let's say SPY and Qs bounces at the bottom of the range, and we get that move higher, and Tesla wants to follow. If we reclaim this 33.20, we're right. Be unfortunate. I wouldn't want that, but you can definitely look for a long over this. Why? Because it's a gap fill play, right? It's a gap fill play to the upside, but over the previous day high, that's a high probability shot. But higher time frame bearish bias, especially under 33.20. So let's just be patient on Monday. I'm really looking for this, right? Pop and fade off of that, or the continuation on the higher time frame to the downside under 367.35 here on Tesla. Let's see. Okay. Amazon. So not a lot going on here on Amazon. Not a lot. I cleaned this chart up, new key levels, and when you look at Amazon, I mean, yeah, higher time frame, bearish bias, right? Higher time frame, bearish bias, but really not a lot going on. Amazon was really trying at the start of the year, you can see it was making its way up. Earnings killed it though. Earnings is what like really tanked Amazon to the downside, which is pretty unfortunate. But when in doubt, zoom out, and when you look at this on the weekly time frame, it's not much going on. We see the damaged body tells the story, so we've really just been stuck in between, 212 and 202. So we're in a range here on Amazon. When you look at this, right, does it look like we're trending higher or lower? No. So this is just a name that you come into the session, like I do, very neutral, right? We're not bearish bias or bullish bias on this name. So when you go here on the daily, how do you eliminate low probability trades? Well, you just treat channels like no trade zones. And it's been a little tricky in here on Amazon. There's been some days I've had it on my closed watch list, but I haven't taken any trades on it just due to the price action, the price range, and so on. So coming into Monday, some of the key plays, at least something I would be looking for here on Amazon, really throughout the week is, okay, our 202, you can see this is a very strong level of support. So I don't even know why I have this labeled as red. It's a strong level of support. So that being said, you can definitely look for this. This is a good RR trade. You can see, we're trying to make some lower lows here. There's no doubt we're trying to make some lower lows here on Amazon, but this is a clear key line in the sand. A break and retest under this, getting this pullback to 197.30 is valid. That's a very valid shot. It's a big RR too. Right, that's a big RR trade to the downside. So that's something I like. I would be very careful, really just trying to trade in here. it hasn't been the cleanest price action. Now, it does respect its key levels, right? We went from the bottom of the range to the top of the range. But you can see it's been a little clustery lately in between 212 and 206. In between 212 and 206, you're really in a channel here. So the way I would play it is, bottom of the range, top of the range. That's how I would play it. So if you want to look for longs on Amazon, I would look for a long over 206.40, like a break and retest over this continuation back up to 212.80. That would be ideal. All you have to do is look left. You can see once we hold this level, we do move higher. We hold this level, we do move higher. But you're neutral on this. I would be careful on Amazon. Just not the best looking price action. It's sitting in a range. It's stuck on the weekly. So keep that in mind. Less is more. See how I only have 5 key levels here? That's all you need. 5 key levels means less trades, opportunities, which means higher probability shots. Stick with me there. So just be cautious on this name. I would say one of my favorite plays is really under 202.50. We're making our way lower on the higher time frame on the weekly. Technically, we are bearish bias. And hey, if Qs stays heavy and SPY stays heavy and break outside of that channel to the downside, well, I'm expecting these names to follow. So we'll see what sets up here on Monday and throughout the week for Amazon. Let's see. The last time we were, yeah. So on the 18th of February, that's when we really broke 202.50, and we've been above that since. So big deal if we break under this. Like I said, you can clearly see we're making our ways lower here. Not the cleanest price action, but we are making our ways lower here on Amazon. NVIDIA, really nothing new on NVIDIA. Out of every tech name, I've been saying this for the longest to you guys, out of every tech name, NVIDIA just looks the worst. I mean, this is a weekly time frame. Weekly time frame. That is terrible. So if we're chopping like this on the weekly, you can only imagine what it looks like right on the intraday trying to trade this. Now, we closed here at 172.70. As you can see, we're close. We're close. But don't come into the week, anticipating this. You have to be educated on, those bear traps, on liquidity, understanding. That's why I always say the bigger the breakout, the better. A lot of people try and rush to break and retest. Wait for proper displacement, especially when it comes to weekly levels. Now, all we have to do is look left. I mean, look at 170. Look at this. Look at this level. This is not a joke. This is a very strong level. The higher the time frame, the stronger the level. We know this. So I would be very, very cautious on this. But if Q stays heavy, right, everything is going back to SPY and Qs. You gotta understand context matters. We're getting out of this. We need this. This has just been clean market structure suds, right? We trend consolidation, next leg lower or next leg higher. So we've just been consolidating 100%. NVIDIA, like I said, looks the worst out of all, but our key level coming into the week, the key line in the sand is 170. If we break under that, that is a big deal. That's a very big deal. Hopefully, if this sets up on Monday, I will look to play end of week expiration. Let's see if we can get a swing trade going. This is a big deal. All we got to do is look left. Look how clean the price action is when we're not in a range and a channel. So if we can get this, that is solid. If we hold this, we can't be surprised. Like I said, all we got to do is look left. We've done very well holding this. Very well. Very, very well. This is a strong level. So if we hold this, I wouldn't be surprised. If Qs and SPY holds the bottom of the range, I could really just see NVIDIA doing the same thing, bouncing off this 170 here on the weekly. So going into Monday, what am I looking for here? Let's go here on the daily. And we had a big day. Friday was a big day. It's pretty unfortunate. No regrets for me. I was being very conservative. I was being very, very conservative. The pre-market game plan for me on NVIDIA coming into Friday, yesterday, was, looking for a short off of 178, but I was very hands off. And the reason I was hands off here is because one, the price action hasn't been good. I mean, look at Thursday, but I just did not like that we're sitting in a channel, we're sitting in a range, and it was an inside bar day. I didn't like that. Not one bit. We were opening up in the middle of the previous day, high and low at 178.05. And then I ended up just getting a perfect break and retest here. Look at that. I mean, on the dot, perfect break, displacement, retest off of 178.05, and you got that continuation lower. So that one stung a little bit, but it was a cash day. I stuck to my trade. I'm sorry, I stuck to my rules. I was being very conservative. I just didn't like, to me, it was just a low probability setup. Everything's easy to say in hindsight, but that one got away from me. There's no doubt about that. I can admit that. So nevertheless, what are we looking for? So you can see NVIDIA as well. A lot of these names bounce like crazy. A lot of these names bounce like crazy. So a couple of things here on NVIDIA. Actually, I'm going to zoom out here on the 1 hour. A couple of things here. You can clearly see we are trending lower. There's no doubt about that. We're trending lower here on NVIDIA, but we can't have a bias. I just showed you on the weekly time frame. We're still in a range, so we're neutral. The bears, are not fully in control, and the bulls aren't either. We're neutral. Every day we've been coming into Nvidia. We've just been looking for setups, following the overall market, letting the market pick a direction, and trading off our key levels. But since we are trending to the downside, and I'm looking for this lower low, this is ideal. I would really look for this a break and retest into 174, right? Targeting PD. Sorry, that says PDH. Targeting the previous day low. I'll change that. That's a valid shot. I just showed you in the 1 hour, we are trending to the downside. The overall market has been pulling back. So this looks really good. Now, if the price action is not clean and you get a day like this or the day before this, we're still in a range. So you can't be surprised. Just understand that. Now, the reason I say we're still neutral is because I just showed you on the daily. We broke this. Retest needed. Let's say, we open up down here and Qs Inspire bouncing. We can look for a break and retest over 174.50, playing the pullback here to the retest. This is still unmitigated liquidity. We still have to retest this. So all we're doing is playing the pullback. So there's a couple of ways you can go about it. That's why patient pays. Break and retest, that's ideal. That's something I would be looking for here. Or you can sit on your hands and wait for the reaction up here and look for a short entry if that sets up. Or you can look for the continuation under 171. To me, I just have this as a context reference point. I just showed you on the weekly that 170 is our key weekly level that's been holding us up. It doesn't really make sense to go short into that key demand level on the weekly time frame. So the key line in the sand really for Monday is going to be 170. Do we break that? If we do, we break outside of this range. And then my game plan for Monday is either a short under 174.50, targeting the previous day low, or if the market wants to stay strong and bounce pretty much a bear trap to the downside, trapping all those buyers, I'm sorry, trapping all those sellers, and we see a reversal in the market back to the upside, we can look for this pullback here up to 178 on NVIDIA. That looks super solid on this name. Microsoft. I kind of hate Microsoft. Not really a fan of Microsoft lately. The price action's just been trash. So another name I cleaned up here, and when in doubt, zoom out. So great example is, look at last year. Look how beautiful the price action is on the weekly. This is a great example when I always say, the market comes in seasons. So we know what type of season the market's been in. So far, we have a weekly double bottom here at 381. 381 here. A little side note I'll share with you guys. For me personally, I ended up buying a crap ton of more shares. I feel like, for us to go to this, and this is Microsoft, this is tech, this is AI, for us to go to that and we're back down at 381, I see that as a great buying opportunity. So as we've been pulling back here, I've just been loading up on individual stocks here on Microsoft. That's just a little something I'm sharing with you guys. Not telling you what to do, just saying that's what I've been looking at for long-term portfolio. So as this market pulls back, as SPYs pulls back, to me, I see those as great long-term buying opportunities. Everyone wants to buy individual stocks and load up when we're already at all-time highs. So you don't want to buy up here. Why would you want to buy up there? We're already at all-time highs. This is where you want to buy. It hasn't even been a year, and we've already went from 555 back down to 381. Crazy. Okay, so back into this. This is all we've been doing. It's been tough, right? It's been tough. It's all we've been doing. Yeah, higher time frame, bearish bias, 100%. Now, this is a key level here, this 381. This is a weekly double bottom this year. This year, right? 3 weeks ago, we pulled back, we held, we pushed up. We pulled back here Friday, 381. Buyer stepped up a little bit. We closed at 381.87. So that's a big deal. If we get a break and retest under that, we're making new lows on the year. That's something to keep in mind. We're making new lows on the year. So a short under 381, I love it's a psychological whole number. That looks really good. You're getting under the previous day low. You're getting under the previous week's low. That's a great play to the downside. That's a great play to the downside. So that's going to be the key line in the sand here on Microsoft. You can see, we finally got the breakout here. We finally got the breakout. For the last, 4, 5, 6 weeks, we've really just been bouncing between 404 and 392.30 here. So a couple of things here. Break and retest happens on every time frame. We still need to retest this. So a pop and fade off of 392.30 is valid. A break and retest under 381 is valid. So those are really the main two plays here that we're looking for on Microsoft. Now, let's go here on the daily. And just been avoiding bad trades. I see we're sitting sideways, 404, 392. So what do? This is a no trade zone. Right? It's a no trade zone. I've already given you guys an educational video on that. That's how you avoid, death by 1,000 cuts. Stay away from channels. Easier said than done when the channels have been going on this long and you feel like you show up every day. But that's trading, right? Trading is not just about taking trades. Not trading is still trading. So we still need a retest. You can see a lot of these names were very, very heavy on Friday. Ended up having a gap and go. And you can see the last 4 days. Look at this. Just the last 4 days straight downside on Microsoft. straight downside. So we still need that. That is very valid. And then of course, looking for this. So that's really the weekly outlook here. The main thing I would be looking for, like I just showed you, we have a weekly double bottom here at 381. Look at that. You're just looking for the continuation lower under 381. That's a high probability shot. That is a high probability shot. I'm definitely going to set an alert there. And if we want to just hold this, right, and we bounce and we see a push, you can look for, I'll go here on the 15-minute for you guys. You can look for the continuation back up. We still have a gap here. We ended up opening here. The previous day close was here. So if the market wants to stay strong and you want to long this name, you can look for a long over the previous day high, right? You're playing a gap fill, and then you're just playing the pullback, just like I explained here on the video, to 392.30. That's valid. It's still an objective play. It's unmitigated liquidity. We still have to retest that. You're just playing the pullback. So to each your own, however you want to go about it. But you can see we're clearly in a downtrend here. Bears have been in control for the last 4 days, very heavy this week. This was a big breakout this week. So that continuation under 381 is very valid. Now, the reason, I said, all right, hate Microsoft, like a lot of these names, analysis has been spot on, the reads have been spot on, but the price action has just been terrible. It's just been terrible. Like when you look at this, that's to me just not a fan. If you go back to really this previous week, we've been making our way to the downside. Look at Thursday, not the cleanest, and then a lot of these names have been happening during the pre-market, but just beautiful, right? You ended up getting your pop and fade here. Market open on Thursday, straight downside. So solid here on these names, respecting key levels. So that's the game plan here on Monday and for the week here on Microsoft. We gotta bounce. I'm sorry, break under 381. We have to, because if you go back here on the weekly, I wouldn't be surprised. You saw we bounced. You saw where we're sitting right now during after hours. I wouldn't be surprised if we held this. All we have to do is look left. We've already done it. So if we see something like this to the upside, just do not be surprised. That's all I can say. So going into AMD. AMD is another nasty looking name. A lot of these names are. When you look at AMD, does this look like a name that's trending? No, right? It's just been sitting. Now, I see this bear flag setting up here. I'm sorry, bull flag setting up here on AMD on the weekly time frame. I see it. It's setting up. When you look at AMD, it's really wicks to the damage, body tells the story. It's just been sitting in between 203 and like 187. That's all it's been doing. It's just been sitting. Look at the weekly body candle closures. So this is another name that's just been doing this. Just been doing this. Look at these previous weeks when this name can move. Right? I know AMD sucks right now. It's giving a lot of people a lot of PTSD. But when AMD moves, man, it moves. But just like everything else, it's just in a range, it's in a channel. But I'm looking for this. I'm definitely looking for this. We're starting with the weekly outlook, right? This is really the key line in the sand. We're pretty much bearish buys here officially. If we can break under 187.25, it's a range break. If we can get under this, we still have this gap fill back from October. This is a $30 plus gap fill. So that's something to keep in mind. That's really what I'm looking for here. Can we stay heavy? But this is a very strong, look at 193.30. Look how strong, even this week, it retested that. So 193.30, all you got to do is look left. That's a very strong level. I think I even have this specified as very strong support level. Let me go here. Yeah, weekly, very strong level. So here, this is valid. I'm telling you, if that sets up, man, that is a valid. We're looking at a bull flag off of 203. We know 203 is a strong, strong key level here. I'm gonna zoom in on the 1 hour. You'll see what I mean. Just stuck in a range. If that sets up, that is an A plus shot. That's an A plus shot. We're getting a lot of built up liquidity here on this weekly. Let's see. Hey, can we get this break and retest? The difference is, stick with me. The bulls were in control this week on AMD. If you look at SPY, if you look at Tesla, if you look at Nvidia, I just showed you on the weekly time frame. All those candles on the weekly time frame closed very, very red. Not AMD. Not AMD. AMD had its own thing going on. So that's something to keep in mind. Is there some divergence going on here? If so, that's something you can look for, because if SPY and Qs does bounce at the bottom of the range and we're already showing relative strength on AMD, this thing can rocket. There's no doubt about that. So that's something to keep in the back of our minds here. Let's go here on the 1 hour. I'm sorry, on the daily. And this is what I mean, where, NVIDIA hasn't been, I'm sorry, AMD has not been that good. It's just been stuck in a channel between 203 and 193. So what am I doing? I'm going back to my basics. This is a no trade zone. I don't want anything to do in here. Sure, right? You can look for shorts under PDLs and longs over the PDH, but it's not a high probability trade because you're taking a trade dead smack in the middle of a channel. You got to understand that. So let's go here on the 1 hour. You get a better visual. I mean, look at that. It's just been stuck. It's just been sitting sideways. It's been sitting sideways. Really, this week was not a good week at all. I mean, besides Friday, I'm sorry, Thursday, what do we do? Bottom of the range, top of the range. Very simple there, key level being respected. Um, you can see we spent a couple of days just sitting dead smack in between 203 and 193. A couple of days, we ended up pulling back to our key level here, 193.30, and that shot us up to the top of the range here. So what am I looking for on Monday? AMD actually looks the best here. What am I looking for? So we're ways away. We're ways away here from breaking the range. So we got to keep that in mind as well. We're not out the clear. We're still very neutral on this name. We're not bearish bias. We're still consolidating. We're still in a channel. Keep that in mind. So, you can't come into the day, oh, I'm bearish bias, I'm bullish bias. You just got to read the price action, read what the market is doing, and go based off of that. Now, weekly, beautiful, right? It's our key level, the range here. As I always teach, I want to see this range turn into support, this channel turn into support. This I like. If I can get a break and retest over 203, targeting the PDH, that looks really good. If we don't get that, let's say we gap up, you can even look for this. That's the trend line break and retest over the PDH. We're above this channel, 203. That's very, very solid. Now, I'm being conservative. If we get something like this, I'm pretty much just hands off here. I don't really care to play the channels and the ranges right now because you just can't expect clean price action. You can't expect clean follow through. Now, if you do want to go short, you're getting in at the top of the range. This is the tightest risk. That's what you got to keep in mind. And it will be, start of the week. So you don't have to worry about theta because you can only trade weeklies with AMD. So that's solid too, right? If you want to look for a short under 203, just risking right off of that, it can go. Bottom of the range, top of the range. Bottom of the range. I'm sorry, top of the range, bottom of the range. It can move. There's no doubt. And you can see here, it is a key level. So that's something to keep in mind. But for me personally, what I'm looking for is this. Long over 203, targeting that, or a long over this. These are some high probability shots on AMD. I really like that if that sets up. So we'll see what goes on here. But like I said, when you zoom out here on the daily, just not doing anything. Pretty unfortunate. It looks just like Q's, when Q's was just sitting. That's all we're doing. That's all we're doing. All we're doing, just sitting sideways. Apple. So Apple, I remember, I think it was, I can't remember what day. It was this week. Apple was on our close watch list. I was looking for the retest here. Man, this was off the weekly outlook last week. This thing played out on the dot. 255. This was the key level holding Apple up. We needed to get under this. What did we do? We got the break. Finally, we got the break. And then we ended up getting the retest. We just didn't get a deep enough pullback. And then we actually got the retest off our key level on the dot during the pre-market. Pretty unfortunate. So that's what I was looking for, coming into the week. Hey guys, can we get a retest here? Like I always say, the break and retest happens on every single time frame. The higher the time frame, the better. So you got the break, you got the retest, you got that flush all the way down to 247.99, pretty much under that. That was beautiful. That was solid. So weekly 248.30 doing its job, wicks to the damage, body tells the story. As you can see, that's valid. If we can get a short under 248.30, that looks really good here. I would just be a little cautious because it would be still an inside bar week. We had a pretty decent, the last 3 weeks, the Bears have been in control on Apple. These are some big candles on the weekly. So the Bears have been in control there on Apple. Now let's go here on the daily. One sec. Okay. So honestly, I haven't touched Apple in a while. It's just been hard to touch it. Like I just showed you, above 255, we were just consolidating. We know Apple doesn't move that well on the underlying. So that's not really a name you want to get crushed on. So what am I looking for here on Apple coming into really Monday and coming into the week? So one, I would be very cautious shorting into this 244. I'd be very cautious. I know some folks, right, you look for that PDL, but look what you're going short into. This is a weekly. If we break under 244, that's a break of structure on the weekly time frame. Finally, no longer in a channel, in a range. So that's really the main thing here. Can we break 244? Can we get that break of structure here to the downside? That looks very valid. Let's go here on the, I'll probably go 15. Yeah, 15. So you can see, not the best looking. Look how Friday looked. This terrible price action. Terrible. This was this is something that we want to keep in mind because we're under 255 now. I just showed you that. You zoom out here, what does this look like? We're in a downtrend, right? In a downtrend. So what am I looking for here on Apple? Really just to short the pops. I'm looking to short the pops. Pop and fade off the 252.20, that's very valid. If you want to play the long over the previous day high, right? Playing the pullback in the 252, you can look for that too, right? You're just playing the bounce continuation here off of the 248.30. So that's something you can look for. You can see during the after hours, we already broke back above the PDH. So let's say if we stay strong, I'm looking for this, right? Pop off of that. That looks really, really good. That looks really, really good. We're in a downtrend, so I'm really just looking like there's other names to long. If you really want to long something, there's better looking names to long on. So for me on Apple, I'm really just looking to, short the pops here. So main game plan on Monday, two things you can look for. It can be this, plan the pullback in the 252, or you can just wait for the pullback short at the top of the range, looking for that continuation back down to the bottom of the range. And then, of course, right, a break and retest under 248.30, targeting the PDL. It's a break and retest under a weekly level, which is what I love. So we'll see what sets up here. Not the best price action on Friday. It is Apple, so just be cautious trading this name. And then I don't really trade Meta, so I didn't mark that out. Side watches, really just going to go over Palantir here. Terrible. They're treating it as a no trade zone. This is the weekly. Really haven't been doing much. You can see stuck in a range here in between 161 and 148 here on Palantir on the weekly time frame. You can see the last 2 weeks, inside bar weeks, done nothing. 148.05 is a very strong level. Let's go here on the daily, better visual. Look at that. No trade zone for me. Does this look like a high probability environment? This is just what I'm trying to, teach you guys. Does that look like a high probability environment? No, not at all. That's why you want to, make your analysis higher time frame. You want to trade off the higher time frame because if you're only focused on the intraday and these pre-market levels, you're gonna get chopped up. You're gonna get diced up. Like I always say, there's no right or wrong way to trade, but our job is still to find high probability trades, not just take a trade. So have I touched Palantir? No, I haven't. It's just been sitting in between 156 and 148. So what's the more conservative play here that I'm looking for? A long over 156 targeting 161, or turn this channel into resistance and a break and retest under 148. Very simple here. Very, very simple. Other than that, I'm hands off. So your plan going into this week on Palantir is going to be this or that. Friday was a pretty big movement. This is our daily candle on Friday, and it basically covered the top of the range all the way back down to the bottom of the range here. So whatever sets up on on Monday, you got the upper hand here because now you're getting a break and retest outside of the previous day high and the previous day low, which means price is likely to continue higher or lower. So higher time frame, bearish technically, but we've just been neutral here so far, just doing nothing. So I would be looking for a break and retest at either side here on Palantir. Let's go here on the 1 hour. I mean, look at that. Look at that. Just terrible. Just terrible. Nothing there. Doesn't look good. Kind of got this bull flag set. Well, we do have this bull flag setting up on the higher time frame. Clear shot. Clear shot. This is unmitigated. This is some liquidity up here. So break and retest over, this 156.75, targeting 161. That's a solid setup. That's a very solid setup. So these are really your two key levels you'll be watching here on Palantir, 156 and 148. Hood. Is there anything I like on Hood? Yeah, Hood, just another name that's really just been sitting in a range in a channel. I know some people like this. Look at this. I mean, we're sitting sideways on the weekly time frame. Yeah, like 5 weeks. It's been an inside bar week. 5 weeks, inside bar week. So just terrible price action. So what do? I treat that as a no trade zone. I haven't taken any trades on this name, but it is trying to break the range here. This is something you can definitely look for. It's either going to be a bear trap. We fell, we get back above, fell, get back above, fell, get back above. So it's either going to be a bear trap. You can see we have been in a downtrend to the downside here, but still sitting in this range. So the higher probability shot is really looking for this, a break and retest under, 71.87. Or if it is a bear trap, you can look for, right, that candle confirmation, that 3-bar candle confirmation on the daily time frame. You can look for a reclaim of this, targeting 79.40. That's very valid. You kind of got this little bull flag setting up here. I mean, you can definitely look for that. If Qs wants to bounce too, that looks good. Conservative play is just waiting for this. Break and retest outside of the range and then treating this as a no trade zone. That's the more conservative play. So hope this helps. Hope you guys have a good week this upcoming week. We're almost there. Hopefully, this range, it breaks. It wasn't a trap. We don't get a bounce and we just stay heavy. We'll see. But we've been, very disciplined, not trading, still trading, understanding the conditions, understanding the pros and cons to our system. And that's all we can do, just protect ourselves, right? So hope you guys are able to learn from this, use this going into this upcoming week. Now you got your key levels, and I will see you guys on the next one.